Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Recently I've been obsessed with Japanese knot bags, and in this tutorial I will show you how to make one of those. Let's quickly go over necessary materials. I'm using King Cotton from Gründl. We will need 3 bobbins for the whole bag. I am using hook size 6 to make the bag a bit sturdier. We will also need a tapestry needle and a pair of scissors. Alright, let's start by making a loop. Put your hook through it, tighten it up, and from here chain 100. Alright, so I have my 100 loops and I'm going to chain one more and create a slip stitch into the second loop from the hook. Insert your hook into the loop, pick the cord and drag it out through the loop that's on your hook. We will repeat that into every loop of the chain. Once you've created the last stitch, you're going to chain one and turn your crochet around. From here, we will be crocheting through the back wall of every stitch. From the top, you can see that the loop consists of 2 walls, and we are going to put our hook through the back wall. Like before, we will make slip stitches. Once you finish the row, chain one and turn around. Once again, work through the back walls of stitches in the previous row. If you're having a hard time pushing your hook through the stitches, try rotating it to pick the back wall with the hooked edge. Just like that, we have created 4 rows. Crochet 16 more rows so that we have 20 in total. As I was crocheting more rows, I noticed that all of them turn out much tighter than the very first one. This step is not exactly necessary, but I decided to tighten the first row. What I'm doing here is for every loop going from the end to the beginning of the first row, I tighten one wool first, so here is the top one. Then I find the bottom wall of the same stitch and pull out the excess cord. Then I move on to the top wall of the next stitch on the left. And just like that, I shuffle this longer piece of cord from stitch to stitch, collecting these extra few millimeters that need to be tightened. The reason I'm moving from the end of the row to the beginning is that after I'm finished, I can just combine it with my yarn tail and repurpose it later. So I got all of this extra length from just one row, and I'm much happier with how my piece looks now. Alright, so here are my 20 rows. From here we will add the middle parts of the bag on the front and back sides, and then add another strap. We will continue where we stopped. Chain 1 and turn around. From here we will make 35 stitches only. Alright, so here are 35 stitches, and we will now chain 1 and turn around. And continue adding rows until we have 20 in total. Each row should contain 35 stitches. Close to the end, I ran out of cord, so I am attaching a new bobbin. I want to hide the knot on the inside of my bag, and that is the side of it that is currently facing up. This is why I need to bring both the old and the new cord to the front. At the moment there is a loop on my hook made with the old cord, but for the next stitch I'm already picking up the new cord, holding the two tails with my thumb. Tie two tails together and continue making slip stitches with the new cord. Finishing the last few stitches, and our 20 rows are ready. Turn your crochet back to the front side. Take out the crochet hook. We will now use the third bobbin to start crocheting in a different place without needing to cut the cord. From the part we have just crocheted, count 29 stitches to the left. Insert your hook into the 29th stitch. Take the cord from a new bobbin and loop it around the hook. Pull it out through the stitch. hold the tail with your free fingers and start making slip stitches. After you've made a few stitches, secure the tail of this cord with the needle. Thread the needle and on the inner side go through a few neighboring stitches to keep this tail in place. Continue crocheting until the end of the row, then turn around and make 19 more rows. Each of these should also be 35 stitches long. Once we are done, we can cut off the tail of this cord, since from here we will return to the previous place where we stopped. Simply drag out the tail to secure the last loop. Coming back to the end of the previous part, we chain 1 and turn around. Stitch until the end of this row. We are now going to connect two parts of the bag once again, but this time we are going for a longer strap. For that we need to chain 60. Next we jump over to the other side and connect the chain to it with a slip stitch. I accidentally skipped the next stitch here and had to redo it later, so be very careful. Continue making stitches until the end of the row. Chain 1 and turn around. All of our next rows will now also include the chain that we have created. And you guessed it, we will need 20 of these longer rows in total. That means 19 more. Once you reach the chain, you pick the top wall, just like in the beginning when we were starting our bag. Somewhere along the way you will run out of the second bobbin, so you will need to attach the third one again. Once you finish the 20th row, you can cut off the cord and pull out the tail. Let's see what turned out now. We can fold everything in half and you can see that we have one longer and one shorter strap. Later, the longer strap will go through the shorter one to form a knot. Now it's time to weave in the ends. Thread the needle with an end and hide it by going through the neighboring knots. Make sure you do it on the inner side of the bag, where all your other knots already are. Hide in all ends except our very first starting cord. Turn your bag with the inner side facing up. Find your first tail. If you extended it by tightening the first row, it should be quite long. If you didn't, or your tail is not long enough, you might need to attach a new cord. Notice how the pattern forms braids, and there is one vertical and one horizontal loop at the top of each braid. We will only be sewing through horizontal loops, skipping all of the vertical ones. The back halves are symmetrical, so you need to align them perfectly and sew through two respective horizontal loops simultaneously. Find the first two loops and put your needle through them. Before you pull out the cord completely, return the needle through the loop. This is a so-called blanket stitch. Repeat with the next two stitches. Continue just like that until the end of the row. Once you're finished, make one more blanket stitch around the last one and hide the tail. And this is how our seam looks on the front side. Turn it inside out again. We will now sew along the sides of the bag. Cut a long piece of cord and thread the needle. Make a knot on another side. We are going to sew through outside walls of the stitches in the edge rows. These will also be blanket stitches. we need to connect 35 pairs of stitches to match the level of the middle part of the bag. Once you've finished, make one more blanket stitch around the previous one, and you can weave in the end by looping around the neighboring stitches. Of course, we need to repeat the same steps on the other side. And here is the final result. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comments how you like the bag design and if you have any questions. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It does help a lot. Thank you and see you in the next video.